Alrighty, we are pleased to be joined by a beauty that is from Troy, New York, retired hockey player that was selected in the second round of the 1999 NHL draft to the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's a KHL veteran and now spending his days winning the internet with betting. And as the saying goes, everybody rides. Also helps out with Spittin Chiclets on RA's Gambling Corner. After all that, we are pleased to have on today Matt Murley.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Good intro there. I peaked early with that second round draft pick.
At least you're there.
At least you were there and you played, which is sick. But now you're rocking the EBR shirt, and we'll talk about that a little later on in the portion of the pod here, Merles. But first off, what's up with you, man? How are things? What's going on?
Not much over in Sweden right now. Played over here for 3 years, met my wife from here, and we had a baby it's already 17 months. Wow. So we're back in Sweden for this year, and the wife wanted to be back here with her family. We've spent last season in Rochester. I coached some youth hockey kids there for the year. So we're back in Sweden for the year and just living.
Coach Merles, hey? What's that like? Like coaching?
I enjoyed the kids, but the parents were, like everyone knows, were some tough work. But it was COVID. It was a tough year. We got through it. We made it. But the youth hockey's not for me anymore. But I love the kids. I love the excitement of the games. We had a great team. We had some great young players, and it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome, man.
What age group were you coaching?
We had 07s.
Okay.
And we were Rochester Junior Americans. We were really good. We were around top 10 all year, and we played all the best teams, and we beat most of them. But it was a cool experience. But parents are tough, man.
Yeah, you're done with it.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Merles. As we always do in this podcast, we backtrack and talk about the younger days growing up. For you, growing up in Troy, New York, what kind of hobbies were you up to? Obviously hockey. What other things were you doing back in Troy, New York?
Yeah, Troy, New York. Give you a little fact: home of Uncle Sam. So we can start with that. So not many people know that, but Samuel Wilson, who's real Uncle Sam, is from Troy. But I grew up same as most kids. I did soccer, I did hockey, and I did baseball. And then as hockey gets more serious, you drop the soccer and you move down into baseball and do a little less of that, and then eventually becomes all hockey. And I actually had the crazy hockey parents to start. I started traveling out to Syracuse as a squirter, Adam, as you guys would say, up north.
Yeah.
And we did a 2.5-hour drive to practice every Tuesday, and then out there on the weekends, or to Toronto or Montreal for the games on the weekend. So we did that for 7 years. So it was pretty wild.
That is wild. 2.5 hours of practice dedicated to the game.
No, my dad was crazy. I mean, it was easy for me. On the way out, I would do my homework, and on the way back, I would just sleep. And he did all the hard work. But one great story from all that was, it actually set me up for my career. Was we drove the 2.5 hours, and we got there, and the head coach wasn't there for the practice. So, for non-hockey guys that are listening, it's kind of like when the substitute teacher's in class, you start messing around. Me and Tim Connolly, who played forever in the NHL, we were the two players on the team, and we were messing around, throwing pucks at the guys as they're skating by and messing around. So my dad sees it go once, and then it's my turn to go. I go down and shoot. It was like one of those long horseshoe drills.
Yeah.
And then we get back in line, and we start saucing pucks at the other poor kids as they're trying to come in and take their shot. All of a sudden, I feel something on my back. My dad, it's like, "Get off." He goes, "You got 5 minutes to get into the car." I panic, get out. I get back in the car. Not a word is said for the 2.5 hours home. Meanwhile, we spent 5 minutes. I was on the ice for maybe 5 minutes. He drove 5 hours. He's like, "You ever act like that during a practice, I'll never drive you again." So good lesson I was telling the kids about last year, and other kids listening. You get the practice, work hard, don't mess around.
That's exactly correct. Okay, well, Merles, you kind of mentioned that Syracuse Junior Crunch team. Explain to me what the league is, because you had 110 points and then 126. You mentioned Tim Connolly, who also ripped it up. It seemed after those, you and Connolly, the points kind of dwindled. What league was that? And obviously you guys had some success right away.
Yeah. So same as like most parents, like I was kind of moving away either way because I was so far away, but Timmy's parents didn't really want him to move away. Everybody's trying to get us to come to Canada, play. USHL was trying to get us to come out there. And so then our dads came up with the idea to get us in this Toronto Metro League. Because at the time, Niagara Buffalo had a team, and Jeff Farkas and Gianta were playing there, and we were kind of following those guys. But we didn't want to go to Buffalo, so they started their own team, the Toronto Metro League. It was a Tier 2 Junior A league, which back then, it wasn't associated with Canadian hockey. It was kind of a renegade league. So we had our own rules. It was like the NHL. You could fight as many times as you wanted, and you wouldn't get kicked out. And it was a lot of guys from the OHL that were done, like 19, 20-year-olds sent back to their hometowns. And then there was a lot of young prospects like ourselves and, some other Canadian young guys. And it was a tough league. I mean, I was 16, Timmy was 15. We're wearing half shields. We're fighting these guys. We had bench clears. It was wild. Like some of the nights we were happy just to get out of the visiting rink alive. But we did
play the Western Canada boys.
Oof. I mean, I don't know how it could have got any worse than this. I mean, we had this one guy. It was Steve Konopka was his name. I'll never forget it because we were on the first bus ride up, and the GM sent back the stats from the season before, and the guy had 550 penalty minutes, and we're like, oh my god, like what is this guy gonna look like when we get there? Yeah. We get there. This guy's 6'5", I think, 250. He doesn't have a half shield on. He has a half cage. A black half cage, the scariest guy I've ever seen in my life. They killed us that night, like 7-1, Thornhill Islanders. And we're like, what did our parents get us into? But as you see, from the stats, me and Timmy eventually figured it out. And, we did really well. And it was great.
Hey, I want to talk about some college here, but before that, obviously, I've heard in the past that you're quite the scholar. You mentioned to yourself that you did your homework on the way to hockey practice. You played 4 years at RPI. Walk us through that experience, how you got there, and you had really good success each year. Like you had a point per game, if not more, for 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's in Troy, New York, and that's I was from there, and I really actually never was home. I never got to really play at home. I spent my last 2 years of high school in Syracuse. So I always dreamed of going to RPI, and they won the 85 national championship when I was a young kid, going to those games. You see Adam Oates and Joe Juneau. They go to the NHL and have great careers. So that was always my dream. And, as I kept making the steps, it kept getting closer and closer. And when I got to choose where I wanted to go, it was a no-brainer to go back home, reward my parents for all their travel and hard work. And it was a dream come true to go play there. And if there's kids listening, you got to have the schoolwork to get to these schools. It don't matter how good you are. If you're not doing the schoolwork, you can't get you in. A bunch of my friends are coaches now there, and they say the same things, like you can't get in. So I always put school first. My mom always was big on that. And that's how I ended up at RPI. And it was great. I got there. I mean, that's what that league was so good. My dad was smart to put me in that Toronto league because it was like not going down a level, but it was like a safer league.
Yeah.
I didn't have to worry about these 20-year-olds taking runs at me every single shift I was out there. It was actually like real, like clean hockey. And it was just like almost easier for me. And my first game, maybe my second or third shift, I scored, and, that just took all the pressure off it. And we had a big win that night, and it just steamrolled from there. And I had a fun time there. I have some great friends. Some of my best friends in life are from there, and it's been nice being from there. I can still stay connected to the program and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Well, Merles, before we go into your draft year, I kind of wanted us to ask, at what point did you go, maybe it was year 1 or year 4 of college, did you go, hey, maybe I can do this for a full-time career?
I started, I think, almost that last year of juniors, because there's all these people, these scouts and agents that you're hearing from. You're talking with NHL scouts, like, oh, we're going to take you and stuff like that. And you got every college calling you. And so you start to get an idea. And then, but you want to just keep making each step. And then I got to college and I had so much success my first year and got drafted. After that, my sophomore year, Timmy Conley, he was playing the NHL at 18. Some other guys I played against have been playing the NHL, so you knew it was there, and you knew if I kept working, it would get there. And at the time, a lot of guys stayed 4 years at college, which you never see anymore. But yeah, I was happy I got to stay. My senior year was amazing, and a little bit late start to the pro career at 22 compared to, maybe I missed out on a couple of years, but those years in college and having the degree made everything a lot easier.
Well, you and Owen Power have something in common. You're both going to finish 4 years of school before going to the show. So.
He's doing it for a different reason, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
He's hoping maybe that team moves or something else happens by the time he has to leave.
Rip, go ahead.
All right. So you then get drafted to Pittsburgh in the 99 draft. And what was that experience like? Like, how was that draft day and how special was that for you and your family?
Yeah, the draft was, it was okay because I was rated 23rd in the Central Scouting. So
nice.
I was really supposed to go first round. I had a ton of points my freshman year. I was doing everything right. Timmy was actually going top 5. We knew that. And we were trying to work a deal where we could both go to the same team. And it had only been 2 years since we hadn't played together. We played together for 9 years. So we thought we could pull something like that off. All the teams I interviewed were all in that 17 to 30 range. Yep. So I'm like, all right, here I am. This is it. It was down in Boston, which was nice. So everybody could drive over. We had all our friends and teammates there. It was really great. We were there 3-4 days doing interviews, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And so then the draft comes and it's like, there goes Timmy. He goes to the Islanders. Perfect. That would be great. We'll both go there. Picks come. All of a sudden, Pittsburgh had the 17th pick. They took the Belarusian kid, Koltsov. My coach had heard that they were close on me at that pick at 17th. So this is around like 23 now. And I'm like, oh, well, that's good. If they were going to take me then, like somebody else is going to take me by 30.
Yeah.
No, sitting there. No, tons of Europeans were going, like, who are these guys? All of a sudden, the Islanders trade for the 30th pick or something like that, 30th or 31st pick. Right? Oh, here it is. We're all sitting together. It's all Timmy's family, my family, all our friends, all our teammates. Like, here it is. They're doing it. We're going to get you back together. They drafted some Slovakian guy. So then we're sitting there like, all right. Well, they got the top 5 pick in the second round too. I'm definitely going to the Islanders then. Nope, I don't know who they took then. And just kept going and going. Like, oh my God, like, what is going on? And all of a sudden 51st Pittsburgh came up, and we already had known they were close to me in the first round. Yeah. So they were definitely taking me, and they did. It was amazing because, Mario Lemieux, Jaromir Jagr, it was really a great team to get drafted by.
Merles, we both love this question, but walk us through the draft day, because now you just mentioned you're sitting there, you're probably sweating. I mean, because if I was wearing a gray suit at the time, it'd be black. Yeah. If you're supposed to go in the first and you don't go till, would you go middle second round or late second round?
Yeah, middle second round, probably right? 51. So yeah, I mean, it's just like, well, we're all hungover too, so you know that. So that wasn't helping. But maybe that's why. Maybe the scouts saw us all out the night before. Yeah, you just wanted it over with. Like, you've been waiting. I mean, I'd been waiting. If I left after my second year of juniors and went with Timmy to Erie, I would have got drafted that year.
Yeah.
Because I went to college back then, I got another year. So I had another whole year. So I'd been waiting for this for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And you kind of just wanted to go somewhere where, like, you were happy, and just it wasn't coming. And I was like, oh my God, like, what is going on? And I don't really remember too much. I just wanted it over with so we could, like, go celebrate and, like, talk to all your friends and family and just get it over with. But yeah, it was not fun sitting there. I think that's back when those Snickers commercials were coming out. And it was my brother, one of my goofy friends, said that, like, hey, Merle, you probably should get a Snickers. Like, you're going to be there a while or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was right around that time. And it was it wasn't great, but it worked out. I wouldn't want to get picked by anybody else.
But at least it was the same day. Like one of my best friends is rated late first round, so he sat through the whole first round, and then
Yeah, they're back, right?
didn't get picked. So that this is when the first round just the one day. So he has to do the walk of shame.
Oh,
He
yeah.
sat there for 2 hours, sweat his balls off, and then he was the second pick of the second round the next day.
Oh, well, that's good. Yeah, that would have made it worse. Yeah, I shouldn't complain at all.
Rip, go ahead if you want to jump in there.
Where are we at here?
Wilkes-Barre.
So then you go to Wilkes-Barre and rip it up in your first year pro. Then you got into 18 NHL games. Walk us through your AHL experiences, and then your short stint that year at the Penguins.
Yeah. First of all, the 18 games came the next year.
Okay.
The next year, yeah. The first year I got there, and it was not a good start. I broke my finger in my very first pro game.
Oh.
And I was on, and like back then, like we had we had traded everybody. That's when they traded Yager and Lang and Kovalev. So they had all these first and second rounders, and we had a great team. I was stuck on the fourth line to start the year, break my finger, come back like 3-4 weeks later. So again, fourth line. So my numbers were great, but they were probably even better because of like the lack of ice time.
Yeah.
But what helped is eventually they sent Alexander Degg down from Pittsburgh to Wilkes-Barre, and me, him, and Toby Peterson got together on a line somehow, and it was just like, it was magical. Like we just scored nonstop every game, and you know that really helped my points. And it's still like one thing that I think like teams are way better at now, but back then in Pittsburgh was obviously really dysfunctional. But yeah, I didn't get called up for any games that year, which was like disappointing when you do that well and you see all these other kids get called up that have less points and less goals. But that's the way it was. And I just think if they brought me up that year, you get your first game out of the way when it really doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
You know, and then you're ready to go the next year. So then the next year is when I made the team out of training camp there.
That was in 05, right, Merles?
This was 03, 04.
03, 04, okay.
03, 04. So I made the team out of camp. And again, like, so that's why it's my first NHL game. It's opening night. Like Mario Lemieux's on the ice. Like, holy, like it was so much. And it was great. I was actually really good back then. Edzo was my coach. He loved me.
Nice.
Edzo, he was great. He has me out there in the last minute of the game. We pull the goalie. I feed one backdoor to Lemieux. I have like my hands like this going halfway up, and he hits the post. Lemieux hits the post. LA takes the puck, goes the other end, scores empty netters, and we lose 3-0. So that was my first NHL game.
Next one,
and then So then I got sent down, I think, after like 4 games, and then I got called back up and down. It was one of those kind of years. And I had the great Michel Therrien in Wilkes-Barre that year.
You must have stories about Michel Therrien.
Yeah, he was. He actually liked me, and I like compared to what some of these other guys, the treatment he got. But it was one of the first days I got down there, and he's just like, I just get off the phone with Craig Patrick, general manager, and everyone's so disappointed in you. And I'm like, what do you mean? I just got here. I played like 1 game for you. Like, but he would like, he was just trying to get the best out of you. And he had a crazy way to do it. I understood that. I was a little older. Like I said, I came from the college, so I had a couple years, and I kind of understood him, and we actually got along all right. And he liked my game, so we had a great time that year. We went to all the way to the Calder Cup finals. So it was that was a great season.
So Merles, rumor has it you were such a good veteran presence that they decided to stick one of the best players of all time in your room, Sidney Crosby. He was your roommate. You must have some. I mean, I don't know if there's stories. I mean, I think he's probably just a professional at like 14. Walk us through. I mean, your time with Sid and roommates and playing with him.
Yeah, so that's the same thing. Like I was a young guy, but I kind of wasn't a young guy because of college and just being a little more mature than you Western Canadian guys that would come down. So I was like in Pittsburgh when I was there, I was kind of like the buffer, in between these, because we had a ton of old guys, Mario's friends, and then we had the young guys, the Sydney and the Fleury. So I was kind of like in the middle. I could go either way with either group, and kind of gel everything together. And they thought I was a great leader, and they put Sid with me, and we had a great time. I ended up getting hurt that year. I got in a fight and ended up getting surgery for the end of the season. And then I think that's when Sid really took off, and he ended up with 100 points.
Was that the fight with Ben Eager?
Ben Eager, yeah, that was.
We were just watching.
Just watching it.
Yeah, that wasn't pretty. So that's what. See, Terrian was the coach by now in Pittsburgh. He had just got called up, maybe a week or so, and like Edzo got fired, and I'm out there. We're the fourth line, and Philly's all over us. We're in our zone. One of those shifts for like a minute. We don't touch the puck. It's just like, oh my god, like get me off the ice. Finally,
around.
Yeah, just destroying us. So goalie finally covers it or something, and we all start skating to the bench, and Terrian's like, nope. You guys aren't coming off. Now I had played for him I played from that year, and then lockout, we were all in Wilkes-Barre. I played for him. So I knew what that meant.
Yeah.
He wanted we're down 3-0. He wants a fight. Let's go. So I'm standing there in a face-off, and I look over, and our fighter, Andre Waugh, had just gotten back from eye surgery. So he's not fighting. Shane Endicott, another Saskatoon guy, he had just gotten back from an ankle injury. So I'm like, well, he's not fighting. I look back at the D, and I can't remember who they were. And I'm like, well, they're not fighting. I'm like, oh no, I got to do this. I'm on the bubble of staying up. I'm fourth line. I know Terrian. He wants a fight. So I'm looking around. I'm like, who's going to fight me when they're up 3-0? I'm like, I knew Ben Eager. I've been battling against him. I'm like, he's a tough customer. He's going to beat me up, but whatever. It's the NHL. If I get beat up, it's right around Christmas. I'll go home with a black eye. It'd be awesome. So I start the fight with him. The puck doesn't even drop. I end up seeing that. The puck doesn't even end up dropping. And we go, and he had me all tied up. And I made a move to try to get around him like that and come over the top. And as I was doing that, he just threw me down. But I was holding on so hard with this arm that my shoulder hit pop straight out. Then he's just dummying me on the ground because I couldn't even turtle. I couldn't move the shoulders. I could only turtle with one arm. And that was the end of that. But hey, the team did come back and win that game 4-3. So
really, wow,
wagon
Merle.
But that was the end of me. And that's then Terrian comes in. He's like, Matt, what was this? What kind of fight? I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I know you wanted to fight. So
he's still giving you shit. Your one arm's hanging.
Yeah, exactly. I'll never forget. I was sitting in the lounge. I'll never forget. What is that? What was that? I don't know.
So
but, I've fought bigger guys before, and nothing that bad happened. It's just part of the game.
Yep.
So you're a college guy. So where did you learn how to fight?
Yeah, that was all in that Toronto Metro League.
That's where you got it from, eh?
Yeah, so that's what. So this is crazy. This is how it used to be. It was great the first year when I had Timmy there with me, because one game they would all go after him, and then give me kind of a night off, and then the next game I would be running my mouth, so they'd all come after me, and you kind of just had to fight because there was the 3 fight rule, so you just kind of well, I got to get one fight in just to get these guys to leave me alone.
Yeah.
So that's when I got a bunch of the pins, and then. So then it got worse. So that was the first year we could just fight as many times as you wanted. The second year, they started doing you get kicked out of the game, which these Canadian guys loved it, because if they could get me to fight, then I was thrown out, and then we weren't scoring. So then these guys would be coming at me all game, and then so eventually I would just have to wait and get in. I'm like, I'll fight you in the last 5 minutes. So it's it was so ridiculous. But we're all kids, you're 180 pounds at most, and you're not knocking each other out or anything. It was just more fun than anything. But I don't know if I actually learned. I don't think I know how to fight, but I would just do it and
still
get
beat
up. Yeah.
All right, Merles, we got to talk about you playing overseas, and it looks like you've played a long time, but some acronyms or whatever you want to say, letters that mean wherever you played: KHL, NLB, NLA, DEL. I know that one. The AHL League. Where do we go from here? Because you played in a lot of European places. Walk us through your experiences and maybe the best places you played.
Yeah, so it's I joked about it when I left. I'm like, I just want to go over there and experience the world and play in every country. I don't really care where I go, which I obviously did end up, because you want to go to Russia, you want to make the most money. So I went there first. I didn't do well there. So then you're kind of like, you're kicked kind of back down. You're almost like sent down.
Yeah.
So then I got sent. I couldn't get any deals. I ended up in Switzerland, and I was like, well, if I do really good here, I would love to play in Switzerland forever. Like, you can make some good money. So it took some steps there, going up and down. Eventually, I did well. Again, no contract. I think it was the agent. I don't know. So then it's like, all right, well, now what? They're like, well, you can go to Sweden. You do really good in Sweden, then you can work your way back up to Russia and blah blah blah. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll go to Sweden. And then I got up here and I loved it. And I had 3 like really like good years individually up here. Our team struggled, but I did well. So then that KHL team started in Zagreb, Croatia, and that was just a way to get back. Like, that wasn't like going to get the big money of Russia, but I'm going to get a chance if I do good there.
Yeah.
Go back to Russia, because I knew I could score in that league. I just had a bad coach. I had a bad year in Far East Russia. I was like, I just wanted to prove not like myself, but everybody, like, I can score in this league. So I didn't care what the money was, where it was. Went to Croatia. That place is the best. Croatia, we were in Zagreb, which is like, it's like in the middle of the country, the capital.
Yeah.
It's amazing food, cheap beer. Like, it's amazing. And then if you're there in the summer, you go down the coast. It's probably the best party and the most like beautiful place you'll ever see.
Really?
So if you guys are looking for a trip, yeah, Croatian coast, it's amazing.
That's wild.
And so, yeah, that was great. I had a great year there, and then I got some offers to go back to Russia. Some of the cities were not great cities that I had known of, so I chose for Bratislava. That was in the KHL, Slovakia, and that was going to be a great deal. I got there, and the team decided to stop paying everybody. So you can see our record that year. We did not. I don't know how many times we even practiced because they wouldn't pay us. So we would sit there and say, hey, well, we're not practicing since you're not paying us. But they knew we'd always play the game because we all wanted to get our stats up so we could go somewhere else during the year next year. But so that was a wild time. And after that season, and I went back for another year, a couple months of training camp, and it was just a disaster again. They didn't pay us. I said, enough's enough. And I was almost ready to retire. It was miserable there. And went to Germany. And that was an amazing team. We had Danny Heatley on the team, Steven Reinprecht. Like, we had a great team, bunch of other former NHLers. We had a good time off the ice, maybe too much. And
no such thing.
That was that. And that was kind of going to be the end too. I remember like in I don't know, it was like the dark days of the season, December, January, you're done. I called like my brother and like, hey, I'm done. I don't want to play anymore. He's like, well, just finish out the season, and then when you're home, you'll be fine. So I was still kind of like done. That's probably my last year. I don't want to play anymore. It's not fun. Like, this is just crazy. And all of a sudden, my buddy Ryan Caldwell calls me that summer, and he's going to Japan. And I'm like, Japan? I'm like, okay, I don't want to go over there. He's like, it's going to be hilarious. He's like, come on over. Like, I'm going to go. He's like, I'll get you on the team. He's like, who cares? We'll score a ton of points, and, we'll be drinking on the road, and it's going to be fun. I'm like, you know what? Let's go for 1 year and see it. It was awesome. Japan is amazing. Like, the people, the culture, the food, like, everything it's one of the best places I've ever been in my life. Again,
that's awesome.
And if you want if you come to Sweden, this is beautiful and amazing, but it's not a whole lot different than the US or Canada.
Yeah.
If you go to Japan, it's a totally different experience. You got everybody bowing to you. It's so clean. There's so much respect. It's really amazing.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then, that was that. And then again, it was probably going to be the end of it. And Kevin Constantine, he was an old RPI player. He was actually the coach when Pittsburgh drafted me. And he was going over to coach in South Korea in the same league. So I was in touch with him a little bit. He's like, yeah, come on over. So I said, all right, I can do it again for another year. And that's I went 2 years in South Korea in the Asian League to finish it all off. So I don't know if that was long-winded, but yes, awesome. I was a suitcase.
That's
suitcase.
Cool.
I hit almost every league. I wish I would have hit that Finnish league. I went to Finland a couple of times on vacations to visit guys. Helsinki was a time. But I was pretty happy that I got to experience the world like that, all on, other people's dime.
Merles, did you play with Nigel Dawes at all, or against him? Sorry, in Sweden.
Yeah, I played against him in the KHL a bunch of times. He was always on the
hey?
Yeah, he was always on the good teams, always scoring and always signing a new big contract. So yeah, he did really well for himself.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
More. Let me keep going here.
Keep going.
All right, Merles, I want to dive into your gambling thing you got going on. Actually, while I read this question here, why don't you show your shirt off a bit here? But people turn to you for the sport betting. You have a ton of traction on Twitter with your followers. Where did it all start? You know, everybody rides. Was that just kind of a spur of the moment thing and people rode with it? Or, man, walk us through everybody rides and your gambling, your tactics.
Yeah, it's crazy. Ryan Whitney, everyone knows from Spittin Chiclets. Me and him, we were roommates in Wilkes-Barre and Pitt together. And I kind of taught him how to gamble. He was a rookie. He didn't know how to gamble anything. I taught him how to go to a casino. I taught him sports. So we just hit it off. We were playing the online poker back then all day, all night. We've just always been talking about games and picks, and they wanted him to start doing some more like gambling stuff. And he's like, well, I got the guy for it. I got Merle, he'll do it. So he just asked me last year, like, you just like write in when you want and write a little something for RA, help him out and just see what happens. I'm like, oh, all right. Like easy enough, just for NHL games. Like, the NHL was starting late. I had a lot of time. I was just coaching the youth hockey. I had a newborn at home. So I had some time to watch games and dig in. And we're doing those picks, and it was like NHL's tough league to win on, as we all know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And we're doing all right. And then the one day I saw this game, I think it was in Finland, and I was like, oh man, this team's gonna kill this team. This is easy. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna put it on Twitter. And I don't know what I had at the time, maybe like 5,000 followers at most. And most of them came from after doing the blog with RA. And so I put it out there. And doesn't the team win like 6-0? And everybody's like writing to me, oh, give us another one tomorrow. Like, are these leagues all like, a lot of people didn't even know what these leagues were. It's like, are these leagues like set up? Like, what is this? Is this like real? So I give another one the next day, and that team wins like 7-1. So it's like, it's not even like a sweat. Like everybody's just crushing it during the day. And then we're doing our NHL pick at night. And I think at the same time, we're kind of getting hot on the NHL too. And it just starts steamrolling. And like, it just went nuts. Like everybody, like, let's go, like, give us a game, give us this Russian league. And it was kind of just like introducing everybody to where all these players have come from and these leagues that we all go play in. And it just kind of took off. And then, so Everybody Rides was a guy, Jay Pagney, was a coach of ours in Connecticut. We used to train at this billionaire's house. And his big thing was always everybody rides. Like, we all go together. Like if we're going on a run, we all go. If we're going on the ice, because it's not like, oh, I don't feel like going today, or a couple guys. No, everybody goes, everybody rides. We go to a casino. We're playing craps. Everybody's on the same bet. Like nobody betting against each other. Like none of that. It's like we're all in it. We don't care really about the money. We're here to have fun, and everybody's riding. And so that's how it started. Everybody rides. And then the one day I got lazy and was like, I was sick of writing Everybody Rides. So I want to just write like ER, but I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like emergency room. That's kind of weird.
The TV show.
So yeah. It's like, that's kind of like, not like, that's not good karma to write on a gambling tweet.
Yeah.
So I just like, EBR, like Everybody Rides. Like, I don't care that it's one word, and we'll make it 2 words. And then Whit started talking about it. I went on, and it just it kind of took off from nowhere. All of a sudden, like probably now after doing your guys, I'll get some of your guys.
Absolutely.
Yep.
People, and I'll probably be over the 25,000 mark here. And it's been crazy. This year's been a rough start. KHL's been kicking my ass. But it's a long season. So we'll get it squared away and get back in the win column. But at the end of the day, it's all about having fun. And, it's kind of like being part of a team, like everybody that's out there following. It's, it's kind of like a little community.
Absolutely. Well, it's funny, Merle. She's like, I think I like DM'd you on Twitter like 9 months ago. And I want to say you had like 3,000 followers. I'm like, maybe he'll answer. Never answered. And then sure as shit, Whit put a tweet out like 6 weeks later. And he's like, 10,000 in 6 weeks. I'm like, well, fuck, we're never getting now.
Yeah,
That's
it
like the
was.
backdoor
It was.
approach
Yeah,
on
it was
Instagram.
well, that's what I probably have to go back in there and look for those messages because it got out of control. Because then then guys were looking for games nonstop. I'm like, guys, like let's just take the win for today and move on. Like, we'll get another one tomorrow. Like I got a newborn. I'm coaching a 15, 13-year-olds and dealing with all their parents. I'm like,
they're DMing me too.
Those are the emails and text messages this long about why Johnny didn't play when we just tied the number 1 team in the country and they're still not happy. Oh, Johnny should have been out there more. Like, oh, you think so?
Everybody rides.
It's wild. Yeah, everybody rides. Yeah.
Merles, I have 2 more for you, and then we're gonna go to our segment called "Questions from the Gallery." We don't keep you too long, and we know it's late over there. Quick one here: Who has a better win-loss record, you or RA?
On the NHL, I would think maybe RA beat me on the NHL, but I was dominant in the European. Like, I mean, I was going on 14-0 runs, 13-1, 15-2. Like, there was some epic runs there that like we just destroyed it. I had like this guy, Elio from Barstool, big guy, Dave's horse guy.
Okay.
I met up with him a bunch this year up in Saratoga, and he had a little show I went on a couple times. He's like, dude, you're the best gambler I've ever seen. I started following you. You're hitting like 80%. And I'm like, yeah, you came on the right time. Like, nobody hits at that rate. He goes, dude, it was unbelievable. Like, you're the best gambler I've ever seen. I'm like, not really, but it was an epic run. It was, you got to get a lot of luck, but you do see, like, that's what's hard about the leagues are just starting now. The trends really haven't started, and some players have moved around, but eventually, especially KHL, you'll see teams. It's the same teams they're going to win 40 out of the 50 games, like probably.
Basketball.
Yeah,
exactly. And so you just got to wait for that, and then we catch those odds when the odds maker makes that mistake. And I like to do a lot of the 3-way bets. Like it kind of helps your odds as long as it doesn't go to overtime.
Yeah.
And then if you're somewhere where you can live bet, then jump on and bet them again. If you lose your 3-way, jump on it in overtime, and live. And you go over 2, that would be bad, but I don't think that doesn't happen too often.
Okay, Merles, I have one more here, and it's because we are a golf/sports podcast, and some of our followers will question us. But how much you golf in Merles? Are you a golfer? Do you play? Do you like it? And
I was right. I was expecting this coming. I'm not a good golfer. I'm maybe a 20 handicap. I love playing like the scrambles, the 4-man scramble. I'm a great putter, so I can chip in and help with the putts.
You and Bo Bennett could golf then.
Yeah.
Do you know Bo? Yeah. You probably know Bo.
I know the name. I don't know him personally, but I know
he played for the Penguins
when they won.
Yeah.
When they won. Yeah, he's a little older, like 4 years older than us, but he's like, I never play my own ball. I'm a 4-man scramble team guy. Yeah. That's what he likes to do.
Yeah, that's why I like to do that. And like same thing, like after, like when I was young, I had no money. I didn't know time even to golf. My dad had me in a hockey tournament or something every night. You didn't really have the money to golf. So when I got pro, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a golfer now. I got money. I'm going to play all the time. What happened was it would be Tuesday or Wednesday. I'd go golf. And after a few holes, like you guys know, it's not going well. What do?
Get upset, drink, pissed. Yeah.
Crack a beer, like, oh, let's see if this straightens me out. All of a sudden, after 10 beers and it's Tuesday afternoon, haven't worked out yet. Oh, I skipped that workout that day, and like, and that's what was happening. Like every time I golfed, I ended up being buckled, not getting my workouts in. I'm a young pro. I'm like, all right, I'm done golfing. Like I can't be like as serious as a lot of these other guys are. So that's when I became basically a tournament golfer since I started playing pro. And now I had high hopes this summer. No, when you have a baby, you don't have time to go away for 6 hours. I don't know how Whitney does it. Whitney plays every day somehow. He's out of his mind.
Either. Like I don't even have kids yet, and I'm worried to have one because I know my golf game will.
Yep. Yeah. So that's I guess I'll have to wait till I'm 50 or 60 and then try again on the golf. But I enjoy it. I love it. I played a hole with Greg Norman one time when I was at the same place where I was training in Westchester.
Yeah.
No, we weren't buckled then. That's when I was a serious pro then. and I was training, and he was friends. He's like a family friend of who we were training with, and he waited for us on one hole, on like the last hole to play a hole with us.
Nice.
So, I'm not good to begin with, but nervous as hell. And of course, I do one of those where it almost like goes backwards. Like I just drilled the drive like right into the ground, and it goes like 4 feet away. My other two buddies are actually good golfers. They couldn't handle the pressure. We were flying them in the woods. Yeah, we put on a really bad show for him. But that's my golfing claim to fame.
I'm sure he was happy to wait for you guys to just duff one and then blow him in the bush.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he's like. The father was really chirping us like that. We were training his kids, and he's just like, "What? Like I talked you guys up, and this is what you do. Like you guys are supposed to be professional players. Like this is a joke." But
hockey player,
yeah, the hockey player, yeah, and not a golfer.
All right, Merles, let's go to our segment in the gallery, sponsored by Molson Coors. Meet New Vizzy Hard Seltzer with 100 calories per 355 milliliters. This variety pack is something for everyone to enjoy, including pineapple mango, blueberry pomegranate, strawberry kiwi, and black cherry lime flavors. Rip, I know you enjoy those.
Yeah, strawberry kiwi's a wagon.
Oh, they are good. So if you're golfing, enjoy them. If you're at home, enjoy them. Choose Molson today. Please drive safely at all times and drive responsibly all the time. Merles,
Nice.
Best locker room story that you can tell.
Ooh, best locker room story. I don't know about that. I mean, without throwing anyone under the bus, I can tell the story about, it's not really a locker room story. It's more about the locker room we had in China when we went and played there. That was quite the show. We got there and there was no heat, so it was freezing cold. And then, you're sitting there like, hey, I got to go to the bathroom. So where are we supposed to go to the bathroom? It's like, oh yeah, it's in there. And you have this like sliding door. It's almost like a balcony door. And we're like looking in like, no, that's just a shower. There's no toilet in there. No, they're like, that's where you go in there. So one of the Japanese guys brings me and calls over, and it's just a hole in the ground like this. And that's all it is. Like, you do 1 and 2 in this hole. And that was it.
This is on the road?
This on the road in China. Yeah. It was brutal. It was in this small town. And then we go on the ice. There's no face-off dots on the ice. Like, it was just a disaster. Like, this place is filled up with like smoke. People are watching the practice, smoking cigarettes. We were out there like 20 minutes. A Japanese coach comes off. We're on Japan Oji. And he's like, that's it. He's like, bring all your stuff home to the hotel. He goes, no, like, because we're there for like 8 days. You play 3 games and you practice all the other days and supposed to morning skate. He canceled everything because the conditions were so bad. We got dressed in our hotel room, which was awesome. We had a great hotel room, and we'd get on the bus, go play the game. As soon as the game, just take the skates off and go back on the bus and go back. So that was an interesting story about a locker room from the Asian League.
No kidding. That's awesome.
Maybe not what you're looking for, but
no, it's good. I love that shit.
It brought that back, and then I didn't have to throw anybody under the bus.
No, it's perfect. Rip, you want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay. The biggest bet you have won.
Yeah. Biggest bet. I had a huge day in craps a few summers ago out at the SLS casino. I had my girlfriend at the time, now my wife. She came over with two couples from Sweden, and then we had a kid from LA that was Swedish meet us. And the Swedes have never played craps, so I was like, "Oh, this is it. This is going to be a day."
Everybody rides. Let's go.
Yeah, there was some everybody rides. So everyone's at the pool, and I'm sent in to get the pizzas for everybody. And as I'm waiting for the pizza, there's this little craps table there. I'm like, "Oh, this would be fun to sit here. I got to wait 20 minutes anyway." So I start playing in my bathing suit, t-shirt. All of a sudden, an hour later, Matt, where are the pizzas? I was still hot. I couldn't leave the table.
You're on a heater.
Yeah. So the guys go grab the pizza. They go back into the pool. Hours go by. My stacks are just building. And next, these guys come back and they're in full suits. Like, Swedes are always dressed to perfection. Like, these guys are dressed up, and, I'm doing good. These guys get on, never played in their lives. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. Beginner's luck. Oh, wait, this guy rolled. Right. He rolled for an hour. This guy Joachim. He didn't know what he was doing. And he's just like, how do you lose in this game? I'm like, shut up and roll the dice. And like, he's throwing them. They're not even making it down. Like you're supposed to hit the back wall. They're like making it halfway down, some of them. And the dealers are like, they're not supposed to count it, but we're all winning so much when it hits and like tipping them that they're like, yeah, it's good. 6. And they're like, and it was complete mayhem. I ended up winning. I don't know. The IRS will find me on here from saying how much I won, but that was a big win that night on the craps.
That's unreal. Rip, you have one from your teammate there?
Oh, my buddy Scott, he's on my team. He's from Winnipeg, and he's a big time sports gambler too. He said that you loved riding the Jets. Who's your team this year?
Yeah, I love the Jets. I've liked them for a few years now. Kind of ruined them last year when I talked about them. No, it's my cup pick. Again, I like what the Jets did. Again, they got a couple D. Yeah, they got the good goalie. That front 6 is good. The Jets is a dark horse. I haven't even really thought about it. Been so working on this KHL and the Swedish leagues. I haven't even time to dig in the NHL. But I mean, and then the kid is a little bit of work, guys. If you don't know, I like the Jets again. I think I saw them did I see them at 20-1 or something, or was that to win the West? I can't remember, but I mean, you can't bet against Tampa still, even though they lost a couple guys.
Stupid.
Yeah, that's true.
They're sick. And then, I mean, Vegas is going to probably be there. And I'm hoping, like, we were supposed to go to Vegas last year if they made the finals. We were going to have a Chiclets trip out there and do all sorts of streaming and content. And Montreal just ruined it for us. So I'm actually probably going to root for Vegas so that maybe we can pull that trip off again this year.
I love it. Merle's best memory of playing in the NHL, whether it's a story or just you playing and there's a big goal you scored or whatever it is.
Yeah, my first NHL goal should probably be it, but it was brutal. Like I was trying to pass the puck back door and it hit the D skate, went in. And the guy that I passed to, like, celebrated like it did get to him. So I didn't even know I scored until I was sitting on the bench. Milan Kraft, Czech guy.
Lemieux.
Like, it's one of those ones that's like right there. He doesn't know if he touches it, but of course he tries to take it. And it's like, so I'm sitting there in the bench and they're like, yeah, Matt Murley's first career goal. I'm like, oh,
sick.
All right, cool.
They're using the puck while you're watching.
Yeah, it wasn't like fun. Like, was not a fun memory. So that wasn't fun. I had a great goal. I had 2 goals. My other one was against Buffalo, and Conley was on the ice for it. So that was really fun to like chirp him, and I still chirp him. I just had to do a video for him. He's going into the Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame. So
nice.
I had to bring that up. So that was a great memory, scoring that goal against my childhood friend, and that was really cool.
What's the best prank you've ever seen in when you played or you did to someone?
Yeah, trying to think. We used to always, like, nonstop in Wilkes-Barre, the guys would pack your bag up. They would pack guys' bags up and make it look like they got called up. That was brutal. They'd do that to you. You get all excited, see your bag packed like you're getting called up. Yeah. Or sent. They would do it to some guys too that were like they're obviously getting sent down. That one would happen. The one I really liked in Wilkes-Barre, we had this huge parking lot, and the guys would take 2 cars. So they say they didn't do it to me, but say they'd take my keys. Like, it was always Tom Kostopoulos. He was out of control. And they would drive my car as far as you could see in the parking lot. And then the other guy would just drive them right back. So it was no work for them. But you would come out of the rink, your car's not there. Like, oh, where is it? And then you would look, and it was
45
this parking lot, it might have been 2 miles. It might have been 2 miles long, this parking. It's completely empty except your car down there. That was always a good one. This kid, Jeff Hamilton, he was a maniac. He played in the NHL. He was a great goal scorer in AHL. He filled a guy's car up one time with those little styrofoam peanuts. Filled the entire car up with those because somebody messed with him. He was a prankster. He actually got me on a really good one. It's actually a good trick for your listeners to hear. So we were staying over at this house, and him and his buddy they were buckled. They came home and they like broke a bunch of stuff in the guy's house that we're staying in.
Yeah.
So we all were out. So I woke up at like 9 or 10 o'clock. So I call up to the guy and I'm like, hey, like somebody's got to come down here. Like our apartment's a disaster. Like everything's broken. The guy goes, yeah, I know. He goes, Hamilton called this morning, told us how you and Miggs broke everything and destroyed everything. So that was a good prank by him, or like move. Like he got up earlier, blamed everything on us, and he was out of there by the time we woke up and could tell the real story. So we got blamed for that one. Gotcha. That was another good one. But some stuff like that.
Rip,
Not
yeah.
bad.
I'm good.
Merles, I think we've kept you long enough, man. I hope we can do this again down the road. We watch your your picks online on Twitter, and everybody rides. We we support you. We appreciate you coming on the show today, man, and we hope we can do this again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. As you've had a great list of guests on there, so I'm happy to be part of that. I listened to Brian Yandel's on there, and I loved how he was giving it to Foley about having Foley as one of their guests. So I'm friends with all those guys too, and they're a bunch of characters. And I know Foles is big into the golf, so he was probably good. I'm gonna have to give it a listen.
He was good. Actually, hey, before you go, maybe you got one more for us here. What's the best story between whether it's Witt, both Yandels, Foles? You must have one good one.
Yeah, you get to play with Keith.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, I played with Keith, and that was he was an interesting player then. He was so young and raw. He was doing okay in San Antonio. We had a bunch of veterans, so he wasn't he was the big prospect, but he wasn't getting as much touch as he should have. And they called him up to Phoenix to almost punish him, bag skate him, and kind of show him hey, this is what you're missing out on. Let's clean it up.
Yeah.
And somebody got hurt the morning skate, and he got thrown into the game that night, and he scored a bunch of points, I think, and we never saw him again. He was that good. He just needed he needed to see that NHL, and he was kind of maybe bored in the AHL, and he ended up with a great career. And he's been a friend since then. And I used to go out and live with Witt. We would all train together, and that's when I met a lot of those other Foley and Nettie Haver, and you hear all these characters that have come across, and they're all real characters. I don't want to sell anyone under the bus too much.
No, that's fair.
We've had some good times. We've extended our trips too many days, extra days in Vegas or an extra day in Nantucket, and always end up getting ourselves in trouble. But great guys, and they got a great group of friends down there, and it all turned out to be great hockey players too.
Absolutely. Okay, Merles, it's late over there in Sweden. Like I said, we appreciate you coming on. Hope we can do this again down the road, maybe in season when the NHL's fired up halfway through or something like that. Keep your phone on.
Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah, perfect.
All right,
awesome. Thanks a lot for having me. Keep going, guys.
Hey, thanks, Merles.